Hello everyone and welcome to Twitch Tales episode 85. Where did we leave off in the last episode? Well, Apis has found themselves in a very small, abandoned elvish village in the centre of a very magical woods. This village is called Drenvale, and as far as Apis is aware, it used to be inhabited by some guardians, let's say. Guardians of a very powerful, godlike tree that is somewhat of a linchpin or a plug between the different planes of existence, keeping the planes separated enough that life can exist. Over the eons, these guardians, being so successful at their job that nobody ever knew of the existence of this tree in this village, they decided it's kind of pointless them just sticking around forever themselves, and so they created these sentinels, these 12 huge statue-like versions of themselves that would do the job of protecting the village in their stead. And then with the success of these sentinels, over time, fewer and fewer people arrived at this village, and fewer people were born to the people of this village, and so the village got abandoned, with the sentinels just passively doing the job of protecting the village and the tree. Apis has found themselves there now, though, at a time when the sentinels have been so long abandoned that they have been degraded or destroyed or broken by time or people. And it is now Apis's job, along with the other resident of this village, a hermit wood elf called Seed, to fix these sentinels, to get them back up and running. Apis has been tasked with this from an archfey called the Merry Gentleman. The water sentinel, the sentinel that is in the shape of a beautiful flowing waterfall, has been fixed, and as such, the portals and borders between the material plane and the plane of water is a little bit more consistent. The steam sentinel has been fixed, the one that muddies people's minds and memories of why they're in this particular part of the forest in the first place. That has been fixed so that when you are not meant to be there, you are turned away. The earth sentinel has also been fixed much more recently. In the last few days, the plants that have been siphoning the poison and the salt from the ground that was breaking this sentinel have been filtered out successfully, and the plants have done their job, and so the earth sentinel is also fixed now. The portals between the plane of material and the plane of earth has been much more codified, if that's the right word. So Apis has found themselves in need of fixing another of the portals, in particular the plane of air, the portal of air. It is a huge cavern-like sentinel in the shape of an elven woman. This sentinel in this huge, tall cavern, but it has been destroyed by cave-ins and collapses, and there is so much rubble and rock around in this cave, filling it out, that Apis does not have any chance, even with Seed's help, of clearing out this sentinel and fixing it up. What they know they will need is the help of someone who is inherently good with rock, particularly a rock elemental, an earth elemental of some kind. And so Apis, having fixed the earth elemental, realizes that they could now utilize that consistent portal to head to the plane of earth, hopefully engage in some kind of an agreement with an earth elemental there, bring them back to the material plane, and have them do some work for you and help you to fix the air portal. While you're there, you're also looking for a particular type of volcanic rock that will help you to fix the fire portal as well, the fire sentinel as well. It's time to do some solid negotiating, that's right. Solid pun there. So that is where we pick up this time, with Apis preparing to head through the elemental plane of earth portal and try and do some negotiating. In the last episode, we left off with you having done your preparations for the rest of the day. You have gone to the Sentinel. You asked him how to get to the plane of Earth, and you discovered that he moved his hands from this supine position. The Sentinel moved his hands down and showed you this pit in the center of his sternum. And at the bottom of that pit, you felt like that was the portal to the plane of Earth in some manner. You walked away from the Sentinel, he moved himself back into a resting supine position, and you went to the village to, now that you know where the portal is, to spend the rest of the time preparing. You got yourself together some fruit and vegetables and such. You got rations and water. You talked to Julius, the unicorn that patrols this part of the forest. You told him where you were going. You got a pickaxe and a spade and a selection of pebbles from the material plane, because you figured maybe they'll be used as currency over there, or maybe they'll be used as like trinkets and interesting little interesting accoutrement to give to any earth elementals. They might be interested in different rocks from a different plane of existence. You got together a whole bunch of stuff. You can see many of it in the inventory, but you also have some other things. As a way of not freaking out too much about spending all day today just preparing various different things, I've decided I'm going to implement a little bit of a new technique for summarizing your preparations. We can just kind of cut to saying you have prepared for this journey. And then when you get to a point where you need a particular item, if you need a root vegetable, instead of saying, we didn't spend minutiae all of that time trying to decide exactly which root vegetables we took and how many and all of this, we will just say, if it's something that you could have reasonably prepared during your preparation stage, then you prepared it. And then I have a mechanic in place that we don't abuse that, essentially. If you do it too many times, then basically you're going to roll for it, and each time you're going to have to roll less than the number that you rolled before. And whenever you succeed, you have that next item as well. You have a thing, kind of like the heist mechanic you may have seen in some of the other work that I've done. So we've got preparation points. You can consider it kind of like that, and you can spend those to be like, hey, we already prepared this thing when we had preparation time before heading off to the elemental plane. Sound good? All right. So, Apis, you wake up in the morning. Feeling like P. Diddy. No, you don't. You wake up in the morning feeling like a mushroom. You've gone to sleep. You found that in order to find a good night's rest, now that you have this myconid-like mushroom quality within your DNA, it seems, from the time that you hive mind collectively sort of mind melded with a settlement of mushroom people, you've felt yourself turning slightly more mushroom in your behaviors. You find yourself needing to be grounded on dirt or grounded on stone and like in touch with the earth. You found yourself with an aversion to sunlight. You have decided that in order to get a good night's rest, you would need to pour a thick layer of dirt onto your bed so that you can feel connected to the ground as you sleep. So you did exactly that, and you wake up with a much better sense of a night's rest. You are indeed dug down deep into that little soil of your bed. You've like really nestled in there, and you've kind of taken root in a metaphorical sense. There's no actual roots coming from you, but you wake up feeling refreshed. Today's a new day. What are you doing? Apis is a really fun guy. Fun guy. It's kind of like fungi, like fungus, like mushrooms. Mushrooms are a type of fungus, and the plural of fungus is fungi. And fungi sounds kind of like fun guy. That's the joke there. So just in case anybody's, you didn't If you didn't get it, that's the joke that was being made there. When you explain the bad joke, it makes it worse. Yes, I know. That's why I did it. Alright, so thumbs up in the chat with the thumbs up emote if you want to just finish up your prep and head straight to the Sentinel. Thumbs down if you want to do anything more specific. If you want to have any roleplay scenes, or if there's anything in particular that you want to do that's not just encompassed by general prep. Alright, look at all these thumbs up. Look at all these thumbs up. Okay, so you finish off your prep. It takes you the better part of the morning, let's say. You talk to Seed, you talk to Julius, and then you head to the Sentinel. It doesn't take you very long to get back to the Sentinel. You're there by early afternoon. And you once again approach this huge 50-foot long earth hill kind of a situation that's in the shape of a supine elven man. And you put your hand on the elbow and you say, I'd like to visit the plane of Earth. And then the hands move out of the way, and you have this pit in the sternum of this creature. Is any NPC going to be coming with you, is the question. You have a friend, Seed, who is an elven hermit. He is incredibly wise, but terribly stupid. He is a wild-shaped druid. Well, he's kind of he's what I call a homebrewed, because he's a homebrewed druid that I created just for my friend James, who used to play Seed in a home game. So he's kind of a druid with a very strong focus on his wild shape forms and buffs to his wild shape forms and things. He's not much of a spellcaster, but he does have a lot of cool things he can do with his wild shapes, including turning into elementals. So Seed could come with you if you asked him to. He is able to turn into an elemental, which could help. Seed should come with us, and Mel as well. Seed is best boy. Seed should come, probably not Mel. Seed would help since he can turn into an elemental. Alright, so Seed is going to be coming with you. It seems like we're in two minds about asking Mel to come with us. For those who are new to it, Mel is a giant bee. She is a potbelly pig-sized bee. You have a backpack with a little perch on it, so she can land on that and ride along with you. She's not super heavy. She ain't heavy, she's my brother. She can ride along with you on your backpack if needed, but you are going to a plane of Earth, which from your studies is generally just a big old underground cave system at best. So it's really up to you whether or not she should come. So put a thumbs up in the chat if you want to bring Mel with you. Put a thumbs down if you want to ask her to hang out here in the village instead. Mel has some fighting abilities. She can look after herself, but she's not the greatest underground, I suppose, because she can't fly up above. She will keep you alive if you do fall unconscious, because that's what she's designed for. Alright, seems like the no's have it. People don't want to ask Mel to come along. Put her in too much danger, it seems. Or maybe they just don't want me to have to deal with too many NPCs, which I appreciate. Alright, seems like it's not unanimous, but it is definitely a majority no. So you tell Mel before setting off to stick around here with the village. Seed has got his own beehive set up with a bunch of regular bees just doing their thing around his garden, pollinating his little herb garden that he's got going. You tell Mel, hang out with them, make friends, get to know the creatures of the forest, help Julius however you can. I'll be back hopefully soon. You have done a little bit of planar travel before, and you know that the different planes operate on different time zones, so you're not exactly sure which direction the time is currently flowing, and whether or not a week there will be a year here, or whether a year there will be a week here. You're not sure. It could be either way. It could be any number of that. It could just be an hour there is an hour and a half here. So it could be that the time dilation is not actually that big of a difference at all. Okie dokie. So Mel's going to stick around, protect the village with the unicorn Julius, who's going to watch Squinty. Julius. I was going to say Julius would watch him, but no, Julius doesn't like these monsters that Seed looks after. So Seed's probably put one of the sprites in charge of looking after Squinty while he's away. Earthrealm equals rocks. Rocks equals 4 times effective against flying bug that is a bee. Using Pokemon rules? Sorry, Mel. Hopefully we'll see you again. Dragon captivity flashbacks of not seeing Mel for ages. Yeah. Seed is not bringing Pointy or Squinty along. No, neither of them would be very good in it. Squinty might be good in a cave system, but it's very young at the moment. All right then. So you are standing at the side of the pit with Seed beside you. You've got your backpack full of stuff. You've got your quiver. You've got a quiver of holding, essentially, like a quiver that's like a TARDIS inside. You can hold a lot more inside it than you feel like you should be able to. And you've got a bunch of stuff in there. You'll see below me that I have added a number to the rations. You have 16 days worth of food on you. That food can be, that's kind of a generic quote-unquote food, meaning that if you need particular food items while you're there, we can just say, as long as it was reasonable that you could have prepared that food in that time. You've prepared a bunch of like dried meats, you've prepared a bunch of vegetables, and you've prepared a bunch of like nuts and raisins and things like that. Scroggin. So you've got a quiver, you've got a bag, you've got the stuff that you're wearing on your person. You've got 16 days worth of rations. What are you doing, standing at the side of this pit? How are you going to proceed? Can we be specific with the Earth Guardian about where in the Earth plane we want to go? You could theoretically, you could try. You're not sure how this stuff works. You've never done it before, but what you do know is that you don't know anywhere in the Earth plane. So how are you going to be specific about it? What are you asking for? I hope we explained to Julius and Mel that we're leaving Mel here to protect the forest while Seed's off with us. Mel and Julius can talk to each other. Yes, that's right. Yeah, Julius and Mel are well aware of what the situation is. Mel is here to help Julius out and protect the forest in any way that she can. She's useful as a bit of a fighter sort of a type, so she can help him to drive off any bad guys if needed. Not that there's many bad guys make it into the forest because of the nature of the Steam Sentinel. Wraith says, just yeet to the bottom of the pit. It's very Wraith to yeet to the bottom of a pit. We should inform Seed about the potential trial that we'll have to get through first. Yes, you have done so on the way to the Sentinel. You've made it clear, like, hey, I got a vision that explained that we might have to succeed some kind of a trial in order to prove ourselves worthy of getting to the elemental plane of Earth. There was something that said, you have to prove that you are worthy of going to that plane before the plane will allow you to arrive or something. What weapons do you have? You have a bow and arrow. That's your primary weapon. You are an archer first and foremost. You are very good with bow and arrow. You can see below me here in the inventory that you have 4 different types of arrows. The green one is a tranquilizer arrow. The red ones are fire arrows. The purple one is an encapsulation, a sticky arrow that can entangle a creature, and the blue ones are just masterwork arrows. Then you have infinite number of regular arrows. Well, not infinite, but effectively infinite. Then you also have a longsword, and you have some daggers as well, and a hunting knife down over here. Just jump on in. I think it's worth asking for somewhere that we can breathe. Yeah, alright, so you speak to the Earth Sentinel and you say, if possible, could you take us to somewhere that we can breathe breathable air? I'm looking for the middle grounds, which is an area of the Earth plane flux that you've heard about. There's a difference between elemental chaos and elemental law, and you can't survive in either of those places. You can only survive where it's kind of elemental neutral, for want of a better word. And so you can only really exist in a plane where some of the other elements are also allowed to exist. So there's the earth elementals, and then there's pockets of air, and there's flowing water, and there's things like that where it's like cave system rather than just solid rock. So you say, hey, I can't survive in solid rock, so if you could please teleport us to an area in the middle grounds where I'm able to breathe. You ask that of the Earth Sentinel, and there is no response. You hope that the Earth Sentinel has heard you or understood your meanings. The mid-planes of the elemental plane of flux. The wording from last time. They were known as the middle grounds. Hold seed or tie yourself to him so we don't get separated. Lower us down with a rope, please, seed, and then turn yourself into an elemental and come join us with the rope. Fantastic idea, fella. So you grab the magic rope from the inventory below me here. It is a rope of commanding, so you can hold on one end and give it a command, and it will wrap itself around whatever you want, or tie yourself up. So you tell this rope to wrap itself around your waist and tie it tight, and it creates itself like a... is it called shibaru, the fancy rope art that you can do around a body? So you kind of do a little bit of rope harness on yourself with this magic rope, and then you hand the other end to Seed to hold on to, and then you start to lower yourself down into the pit. Shibari, damn it, knew it was something like that. Command it to tie itself to a tree, climb down in the pit, hold the other end to command it to undo and return to us. Yeah, we'll do something like that. We'll get to the bottom of the pit in no time with no issues of breaking an ankle as we jump into this pit. Alright, so you arrive down at the bottom of this pit. The pit is around about 8 feet deep. And at the bottom, it is quite dark. It is also quite dry. Much more dry and crumbly kind of dirt than you'd expect of this level, this deep into a hill that has not seen the light of day in a long time. So you've lowered yourself 8 feet down into this pit in the centre of the sternum of this Earth Sentinel. And I will have you make an investigation check based on just what you're seeing around you. What do you notice about this pit first? Not bad. 13. So 13 on the dice plus your investigation of +3 takes it to a 16. So with a 16 investigation, what you notice is the ground is quite very solid and very dry. There's not as much moisture in the bottom of this pit as you'd expect. You also notice that the wall off to your left-hand side of this pit is a lot more solid and a lot more strong and hard than the wall off to the right-hand side. So the left-hand side is sort of like a rock texture, and the right-hand side of the pit is a sort of a more soft dirt kind of a texture, soily texture. In front of you are 4 holes about the size of a football, all just left to right, just in a line. Each of those holes, it goes into the wall of the pit about a foot. And on the floor of the pit, right up against the wall in the corner of it, are 4 rocks about the size of a head, just less than the size of the hole in the wall. And there are four rocks and 4 holes, and it doesn't take a genius with your 16 intelligence check, your 16 investigation check, to realize that those stones are destined for those holes. You look around the rest of the pit, and there is nothing else of note down here. You don't see any animals or bugs. You don't see any worms in the bottom of this soily pit. That's pretty much everything you see. So you have a look at the stones instead. The first one you see is a granular textured, light coloured rock. The next one that you see is a tan brown, kind of rough to the touch rock. Then you see an almost soapy textured rock that's slightly lighter coloured and a little bit translucent. And finally you see a black translucent shard of something. Are there any signs on them? There are no signs on the holes, no signs on the rocks. That's all you got. Can we use our stonework knowledge or skill to figure out if there's any difference between these stones? You absolutely can. So, as a dwarf, you are naturally inclined to have an affinity for stonework. Dwarves aren't all the way elemental themselves. They're not like part rock, they're not part dirt, but they are as close as you can get without being rock yourself. Dwarves are inherently connected to earth, the earth plane, essentially. And so they have this kind of affinity for stonework and rock and dirt and anything to do with sand and any materials that one would find on the plane of earth. So with your understanding, your stonework history, let's say, I will have you roll another investigation check. I'll make it a history check because it's the history of stonework, let's say. No, actually, I'm going to make this a nature check, but I'm going to give you your dwarven history, your dwarven stonework thing, which means that you, although you are not proficient in nature, because it's to do with stones, you can add double your proficiency bonus. So your proficiency bonus at this level, you're a level 7, is a +3. So you're going to add a 6 to this roll, +3 from your intelligence. You're going to add a 9 to this roll because of the fact that you're a dwarf and it's pertaining to the nature of stones. All right, so. Ooh, not a good roll. It was a 6, but because you're a dwarf, you're getting a +9 to that, so that is a 15. So with a 15 investigation check of this these stones, I should also mention it's relatively. Actually, no, it's pretty light at the bottom of the pit. I was going to say it's dark, but no, it's about 1 or 2 in the afternoon at this point, and so the sun is not too far from overhead, and so there's actually a decent light in the pit. I wonder if it's raining, actually. Let me just double check that. What's the weather doing at the moment? No, it is not raining. It is a relatively cloudless sky, it seems. So what you notice is that the first rock you looked at, with the granular texture and quite a light colour, is also a crumbly type of rock, and it is, from your understanding, a sedimentary rock. So you are looking at a sedimentary rock that has a granular texture, a light colour, and is crumbly. The next one, I think I said the tan brown one. You see a tan brown, not Dan Brown. You see a tan brown coloured rock that is quite rough to the touch. You pick it up and have a little touch of it. It's very rough, and you can tell that it is a clastic sedimentary rock, meaning that it's made up of clasts of smaller parts of sedimentary rock. So it's sedimentary rock that has been moved from something else. You next pick up another rock, and you see that it is the almost soapy textured color rock. It is a light color, almost translucent in its coloration, and the soapy texture leaves it with an astringent property, which means that it kind of dries out the stuff that it touches. It leaves your skin feeling rather dried out and contracted, like your skin has kind of lost its moisture. You also kind of notice that this thing, as you've picked it up, it's left behind a little bit of it. It's kind of obviously been cracked in the weather or something, and it has cleaved into a nice sheet. Someone's been doing geology homework. Yes, he has. This rock cleaves into perfect sheets. And then finally, the other rock is a black translucent shard, and you can tell it is igneous rock, i.e. from volcanic material. It is a translucent shard of igneous rock, and it has a vitreous luster like that of glass. Vitreous, it's reflecting light like glass. So, with a 15, that's what you get. Over to you guys as the players. What are those 4 rocks? Who's the geology nerds in the chat? Check the holes for signs of granularity, low moisture, etc. to match them up. You check the holes, Felgun. All of the 4 holes are identical, that you can tell. More so than they should be for if you were to dig down a regular pit in the ground and you dig out 4 holes, you'd be bound to find slightly different areas of slightly different volumes of thick stones and small stones, and you'd probably have like worms coming out of them. You'd find this and that and the other. No, it seems like these ones are identical holes. So the holes themselves not going to give you any clues. Right, it says one of them sounds like talcum, and the last one is obsidian. Okay. And sandstone is the first, somebody says. Okay. Sandstone, talc, soapstone, and obsidian, somebody thinks. Ips's knowledge of stone that matters here, Rob, not chat. It would be rather like metagaming for us to use our own knowledge. This is a game, Sparrow, and I'm giving you guys a puzzle. Obviously, Apis will know the answer to this if there's no geologists in the chat, but I'm giving the geologists a time to shine, finally. Are the holes vertical or horizontal? They are spherical holes. Well, cylindrical holes. They are holes in the wall. Horizontally into the wall. Vanguard says, sort them out based on hardness. Apis looks at the wall on the left and sees that it is hard stone, looks at the wall on the right and sees it is soft dirt, and thinks this is probably an order of hardness. I need to put the hardest one of these four on the left hole, the softest one on the right hole. Alright, so you have worked out successfully that the black translucent shard is obsidian indeed. You have also worked out successfully that the soapy textured light coloured translucent one is talc. So there is talc and there is obsidian. You have two left. You have a sedimentary one with a granular texture and a light colour with a crumbly nature. And then you have a tan brown one, rough to the touch and a clastic sedimentary rock. So you've got talc, you've got obsidian, and you've got two others. Which do we think they are? Tempest thinks one of them is limestone. Which one do you think is limestone and which one do you think is sandstone? I will tell you, Mount Giggs, that it is not pumice. You would be able to tell pumice because of its very aerated, holy nature with all of the bubbles in it. I will give you the answer that you are, Tempest and Mike. You are correct. It is limestone and sandstone, but which is which? You have talc, limestone, obsidian, and sandstone, but in which order? Can you repeat the description of the other two? Yes. So one of them, limestone or sandstone, is a sedimentary rock with a granular texture, a light colour, and crumbly. And one of them is a tan brown rock, rough to the touch, and clastic sedimentary. Wensleydale. I love this. Creative Garden says, crumbly one is sandstone. Immediately followed by Nerdwitch saying, the crumbly one's limestone. Alright, so thumbs up in the chat if you think that limestone is the crumbly one, and thumbs down in the chat if you think that sandstone is the crumbly one. Thumbs up if limestone is the crumbly one. Let's see what the chat knows about stone. Life Fair Lady says the brown one's the sandstone. What colours are they again? The crumbly one is a light colour. The not crumbly one, the rough one, is a tan brown colour. All right. So the majority of people thinking that the sandstone is the crumbly one. As the as you are sort of debating this, Apis has picked them up and is looking, and the light has shifted. Maybe a small cloud has shifted over the sun, and you've suddenly got a shift in light, and then you realise no, it's not the cloud that's shifted over the sun. It's just that you now have this looming earth elemental standing right beside you in the form of Seed's earth elemental badger, who has shifted into his wild shape and then come down into the pit to meet with you, and you're like taken aback by it. Apis, in the moment, forgets some of their teachings and is actually incorrect. The limestone is actually the sedimentary rock with a granular texture, a light colour, and a crumbly nature. And the sandstone is the tan brown rock, rough to the touch, with a clastic sedimentary origin. Seed helps point that out. You say, I think one of these is limestone and one of them is sandstone, and you kind of rubbing your thumbs over them, and Seed will help you point it out. Seed knows a little. He doesn't know much about like intelligence-based things, but as an earth elemental, let's say that he helps you out. Now you've worked out what the four rocks are, but you're not done, because the challenge is not work out what the four rocks are. The challenge is put them in order of hardness. Hardness is arranged on the Mohs scale, where it goes from 1 to 10, and diamond is as hard as you can get as a 10 on the Mohs scale. So, which should be the order of these things? What do you think? Obviously, if you guys don't know, then obviously Apis will roll for it and see if Apis can work it out. Mark saying obsidian is the hardest, followed by sandstone, limestone, and then talcum powder. Oh, talcum powder. Talc. Obsidian, sandstone, limestone, talc. Obsidian, sandstone, limestone, talc. Obsidian, sandstone, limestone, talc. Sandstone is generally softer than limestone. Obsidian, sandstone, limestone, talc. Alright, so it seems like everybody is in agreement that it should be obsidian as the hardest. So you take the black translucent shard and you place it into the leftmost hole in the wall, the one that is closest to the hard side. Then you take the sandstone and you put it in the second hole. Then you take the limestone and you put it in the third hole. And right before you put the talc in the fourth hole, I'm just going to have Apis roll a nature check based on your understanding of rocks, just in case Apis knows something that the chat does not. As a dwarf, you would have certain benefits here. So again, this is going to be a nature check based on rocks, so you're going to have a +9. 10 plus 9 is a 19. With a 19 check, you're about to put the talc in and you think, I am not confident that this is correct. You take one of them out, you take the sandstone out, and you put the talc in the right, because you are convinced that talc, with a 19, you're convinced that talc is the softest of these four. You scratch it with your thumb, and you can see that with just a thumbnail, you can leave a scratch in the talc rock. And so, yeah, that's definitely hard. You take your thumbnail and scratch the limestone. You can actually put a little scratch in the limestone, but not as much as the talc. You take your thumbnail and you scratch the sandstone, you can't scratch that. And then you take your thumbnail and scratch the obsidian, you're not scratching that either. So you're pretty sure that talc is the softest, and that limestone is probably the next softest. Obsidian and sandstone, you're not 100% sure. With a 19, you don't know either way. So it's down to you guys to decide. Are we putting sandstone as the hardest with a thumbs up, or are you putting obsidian as the hardest with a thumbs down? And I took these hardness scales from the Mohs scale, the official Mohs scales for these rocks. So it is what the internet tells me. So if anybody's saying like sandstone's softer than limestone, not according to the internet. All right, so with the overwhelming no, you put the obsidian as the hardest, the sandstone as the next hardest, the limestone as the second softest, and the talc as the softest. As you put those four things in that order, there is a crunching noise. There is a grinding noise. It does not sound pleasant. And then all four rocks are ejected from the holes with great force, and I need you to make a dexterity saving throw. With a 14 plus 3, you get a 17 on your dex save. You are going to succeed and not take full damage, but you're going to take a d6 damage from each of the four rocks. And then halved because you succeeded your save. So that is 8, that is 11, that is 16. You're going to take 16 halved. You're going to take 8 points of bludgeoning damage. As the four rocks are ejected out of it, the holes themselves in the walls have pushed flush with the walls. The back of the holes have pushed flush. And the stones are at the bottom of the pit, and there are no longer holes in the walls. You look up, you can still see the sky above you. You're definitely still on the material plane of existence. Seems you were wrong. What do you want to do? 4 rocks thrown at the face means you're right. Yes. Yeah. It's an Earth culture thing. It's an Earth elemental culture. Whenever you're correct about something, you get rocks thrown at your face. Hold the stones up to where the holes were. You hold up the stones. Nothing happens. It seems the holes in the wall have disappeared. This was a trial to prove that you are worthy of going to the elemental plane of Earth, and it seems you failed. Sit down defeated and cry, and then start climbing. You sit down, you hold your head in your hands, and you think, crap. I'm disappointed with myself as a dwarf. I should have known better. Why is it called sandstone if it's hard instead of soft? Exactly, Claude. This blew my mind as well, which is why I thought it would make a very interesting challenge to see if anybody in the chat actually knew. I was amazed to discover that Minecraft has been lying to me, because obsidian is not even as hard as sandstone. Sandstone is harder than obsidian. Who the fuck? Who would have? That blew my mind, and I was like, "This. I'm definitely putting this as a challenge for them to work it out." Yep, obsidian is not the hardest of those four. I would have thought it was. Stupid Minecraft. Brittle is different to soft. Yeah, it's very brittle, but it is also not hard. Since Apis with that failure will be able to succeed if they ever get the chance to do this trial again, I will just tell you that talc is a 1 on the Mohs scale. It is literally the thing that they use to denote the scale. It goes from talc to diamond. So talc is as soft as you can get. So talc is a number 1. That was a free gimme for you, really. Then limestone is between... There's lots of different types of limestone, but they are usually between a 3 and a 4 on the Mohs scale. Obsidian is between a 5 and a 6 on the Mohs scale. And a sandstone is usually, again, lots of different types of sandstone, but is usually between a 6 and a 7. So it goes talc as a 1, limestone 3 or 4, obsidian 5 or 6, and then sandstone 6 or 7. So you know the order that you have to put them in if you get the chance to do the trial again. So you ask Seed as a wild chipped Earth Elemental, do you know if we can go again? And Seed just turns his little badger head. Seems like he can't speak to you in this form, he can only speak in elemental form. And he also maybe doesn't know the answer to that question. You instead ask the sentinel itself as you're sitting inside of its sternum. Excuse me, could I have another go? I think I can get it. I swear I can get it, please. No answer. The holes do not appear in the wall. You get the impression this trial is done. Do we get out and get back in again? You get your rope of climbing and you give it to Seed and you're like, can you... And Seed just merges into the wall, just wild, what are they called? Earth glide. As an elemental, Earth glides into the wall, and it's weird that you see your rope go into the wall and then kind of like shift up the wall and then pops out the top as he pops out the top, and then you can just climb yourself up. You climb yourself back out of the pit, and then you turn around and you look into the pit again, and you climb back down into the pit, and there's no holes in the walls. You shout expletives, and then you clamber up back onto the top of the wall again, and you walk away from the Earth Sentinel enough that it closes its hands back over itself. And then you walk back and you touch the Earth element and you say, can I please try to go to the Earth plane? It doesn't move. The hands stay where they were. Right. Well then. How's the sickness doing? You said it was very sunny. That is a very good point, actually. I did say it was very sunny, and the clouds were not in the sky. So let's just see. I'm going to roll a percentage check, see how much of a percent you are feeling sick right now. 54. You are feeling 54% sick. It means that you've kind of been in and out of the sun a little bit with the shade, like because it was 2 or 3 p.m. by now. The sun isn't directly overhead, so down at the bottom of the pit there is some shade. So you've kind of been standing in the shade a little bit. But as a part mushroomy kind of a person, now you can't stay in direct sunlight. So now that you are out of the pit and the sentinel is closed up, you're feeling a little bit queasy, a little bit sick. But you don't have the poisoned condition yet. Come back tomorrow then, I guess. Yeah, let's see. Seed has been making shade for us while we were in the pit. Yeah, he's a big ass earth elemental in the form of a badger, so he can offer some shade for you. See if TomTom says the earth portal is still here. Very good point, fella. You hold your hand out and you ask for TomTom. TomTom is your little wayfinder beetle, and this tiny little blue beetle comes out of your hand and into the palm, out of your wrist and into the palm of your hand. And you ask him, TomTom, where is the nearest earth portal? And very strongly and directly, he runs along your finger and points directly at the center of this Earth Sentinel's chest. Seems like the portal is still there, but you do not have access to it. So we got stuck between a rock and a harder rock. Nice. Is there anything we can do so the day isn't completely wasted? That's up to you. What do you want to do? Can I hide under the bedroll? Yeah, you can get into shade of the trees now. Seed's been throwing shade at us, yeah. Can we ask the Earth Sentinel to help us be worthy? He came to us in a dream once. Maybe he can visit again and help us become worthy. You can definitely try. Right, TomTom? Where's the next nearest Earth portal? He looks at you, cocks his little beetle head. Doesn't seem to understand the question, or maybe there's not one within his range. Let's try touching the sentinel again and whispering its name to see if it reacts to it. If it does, request another trial. You head over to the Earth Sentinel and you put your hand on it and you say his name. Drapulineth. Drapulineth. I humbly request access to the plane of Earth. There's no response. Seems like your failure of your test has blocked it off to you. At least for the time being. You don't know if it's a permanent thing or not, but at least for now, you failed the test and therefore you ain't going to the Earth plane today. Can Seed ask for use of the portal? Seed, could you ask if it can take you to the portal? If it can take you to the plane of Earth? And Seed over to the Earth Sentinel and just kind of like puts his big ass badger claw. Doesn't seem like it's worked for him. Well, Seed, we did my thing. What do you want to do today? And Seed shifts back into himself, wild chips down. Says, Seed, collect shiny things from forest? What shiny things are you in particularly looking for? Seed need to collect metal and shinies for metal sentinel. There's a metal sentinel? Seed collect for metal sentinel, yes. Okay, and what sort of shiny things? Anything metal. Okay, I guess we can spend the day doing that then. Is there anything that you guys as Apis want to do? If you do leave it to Seed, then that is what Seed's going to do with his day. He's going to start hunting the forest, looking for shiny things in the forest floor. He doesn't have a metal detector, but he tends to turn into the Earth Elemental Badger and just kind of like swim through the ground looking for anything buried, anything lost, anything metal. He's starting to collect a bunch of like pots and pans and things from old travelers, a bunch of rusty stuff, any coins that he finds, he's collecting that stuff. Because apparently Julius has told him that eventually he will need a bunch of metal for fixing the metal sentinel. Well, as long as we're not collecting obsidian, I suppose. Terrible way to start the session. Waste a day of adventure and delay her return and help in Shadridge. Yep, a little bit. But hey, we can just skip to the next day if you want. We're going to try and step to the mushrooms again today. Sure can. Alright, let's give it a 1 in 1,000 chance of success. Hey, you know what? Let's give it a 2 in 1,000 chance of success. Tree of Dave, you suggested we try to step to the mushrooms, so you are going to come up with 2 numbers. They don't have to be consecutive, but they can be if you want. 2 numbers. No, that's going to give you 1 in a... That's going to give you 1 in... That's going to give you 2 in 1,000 chance, which is a 1 in 500 chance. No, you're going to come up with 1 number. I'm going to go with your first one, 069. All right. I'm going to roll a percentile... It wouldn't be percentile, it would be a per millile. I'm going to go roll a per millile dice, which I've just coined. And if it is a 069, then we are going to step to the mushrooms. If it is a 000, I'm going to re-roll it. So now you've got a 1 in 999 chance, rather than a 1 in 1,000 chance. All right, here we go. So you know I'm not cheating. Here's the dice cam. That is a 197. 197 is not 069. So you try real hard, you think about it. Okay, give me a second, Seed. I'm just gonna see if I can pop to the mushrooms and just like talk to them for a bit. See if I can step. I don't know how to do it, but I'm trying and practicing. It's good that you're practicing, but it's not working. Is there much metal on this part of the island? I feel like it would be quite hard to find. It will indeed be quite hard to find, particularly since Seed has found a lot of it already. So basically, you're going to spend the day helping Seed. Probably shouldn't be stepping all the way to the mushrooms. It's a long way to go without knowing how to get back if we then succeed. Just do a small teleport. Guess the metal collection is like a task to not waste a whole day. We help, we won't have to do it later. Yeah. We could commune with Drenna and ask her if she can speak with the Sentinel on our behalf. They have been former guardians and all. You can try that, yeah. So you're going to spend the rest of the afternoon helping Seed with trying to find some metal ore and stuff. Can we tell Seed about ores? You can do, yeah. You spend some of today hunting with Seed through the forest floor, looking for anything shiny, digging up anything that's metal. You can also spend some of the day talking to Seed about panning for gold, panning the river for picking out anything shiny. You can also tell Seed about, like, hey, dwarves mine. You know, if you can dig down deep enough, or you find a cave system, you can usually find shinies in the wall themselves, and it might not be solid shiny, but then you can crack it down and then smelt it and heat it right up and get the slag off, and you tell them all about the mining and smelting properties that you know a little bit about. You're a ground dwarf, also known as a hill dwarf, not a rock dwarf. But even so, you still know a little bit about ores and smelting. Anyway, you are going to help Seed. I'm going to put it at a percentage chance of you being successful, and it's going to just basically be a straight sliding scale of how successful you are today, how much stuff you managed to get. So 48%. That's not bad. That's an almost half and half success to not success today. You're going to find from that, like, maybe a small bag, a small I don't know how to describe. Maybe like a large pouch worth of metal crap, essentially, that you find around the forest. You and Seed are hunting pretty much the rest of the day for all of this metal crap, and you take it back to the village and spend the evening after nightfall just like polishing it up and cleaning off the dirt and putting it in the pile of other metal crap that he's managed to put together over the month. We have unlimited arrowheads. The arrows that are unlimited are just simple arrows with a wooden shaft and a point to them, like a whittled spearhead kind of arrowheads, not metal arrowheads. You do have metal arrowheads on these like masterwork arrows and stuff. Actually, no, your arrowheads on your masterwork are made from the teeth of a manticore, aren't they? Hardened wooden tip. Giggity. How much metal is needed would some of our silver coins work? Your silver coins would definitely be useful, but he needs a lot of stuff. And he doesn't exactly know what he needs, because I've kind of hinted at this before, but a lot of the sentinels are fixable in a bit of an order to give you an idea of what you're meant to be doing, rather than just being like, there's too much to do. You can't really fix the fire sentinel without the help of an earth elemental. You can't get, without the help of some of the Earth's plane. You can't get to the stuff needed to fix the fire elemental without going to the Earth plane, so you needed to fix the Earth plane first. You can't really smelt and melt the stuff needed for the metal sentinel without the fire sentinel being fixed. So once you've fixed one, you can fix the other, and once you fix that, you can fix the next, kind of thing. So you won't really know. The metal sentinel is kind of a ways down the line. All right, so you go to sleep. You have done a little bit more preparation. You've helped Seed. You've talked to Julius about like your failure, and you're going to try again tomorrow, see if you can fix it. You go to sleep. You spend a little time just not talking to Drenna directly, but you can like just think about Drenna and think to her and commune with her in a softer way. And you end up having some dreams during the night because of that. Just nothing specific, but like you have like some. Your dreams are influenced by your thoughts from the day of gods and guardians and protectors and sentinels and things, and you're not sure if you're communicating with her per se, but you're just putting out into the world that you kind of feel bad about failing the test, and it would be awful nice of you to give you a second chance, kind of thing. The next morning, you grab your stuff together, you head back to the Sentinel. You're there early morning now. You are back in the early morning. You have noticed that the fungus situation of your body doesn't seem to be changing at all. It's not getting worse. It's not getting better. It's not getting more of you being a fungus. The effects that you have discovered about yourself are the same regardless. However, one thing you did notice actually during last night. Let's make a medicine check for you, just real quick. 5 plus your medicine of 2 is a 7. That's good because it was a DC of 5. It was relatively easy for you to notice this because it's about your own body. After you got smacked in the face and the body by those rocks being ejected from the holes, you took a bit of damage, you took a bit of a bruise. Over the next very short little while, let me just check my notes to see how short of a while it is. Apis is part myconid. Apis has the following things. Okay. You lost how many? You lost 8 hit points. Over the next 80 minutes, all of that bruising, the bust up nose, the cut on your cheek from the rock hitting you in the face, it all healed itself up, stitched itself back together. And you have discovered the last part of your myconid DNA mixing is that you now have a natural healing property. Apis regenerates 1 hit point per 10 minutes. Just passively, 1 hit point every 10 minutes. So, you have discovered, finally, all 4 of your following features. You have sun sickness. If Apis is in direct sunlight for more than 10 minutes out of any 15-minute period, Apis has the poisoned condition until they are in dim light again for another 15 minutes straight. Apis also has the ungrounded flaw. If Apis is not in direct contact with dirt or earth for more than an hour, Apis starts to feel unsettled and with distracting anxiety. They have disadvantage on all ability checks, attack rolls, and saving throws until they become in contact with dirt again for at least a minute. And it has to be significant amount of dirt. I should probably say soil rather than dirt. You also have spore rapport. Apis can communicate through feelings, emotions, and telepathy with all plants and fungus within 30 feet of them, gathering simple concepts and a general vibe. Through the day yesterday, as you were hunting around for metals and stuff, you also realize that you have control over that. It's not just an always on, you're always hearing it's not like What Women Want with Mel Gibson, where you're constantly hearing everybody's thoughts and it's distracting. No, you can choose to, as an action, turn it on essentially and communicate with plants and tap into the plants around you and get a little vibe check. And then finally you have healing. Apis regenerates 1 hit point per 10 minutes. So those are the features that you have from being part myconid. It is now your choice. Now that you have all of the information, it's now your choice as to whether you want to try and overcome that and get back to being cured of all of that, essentially. If Apis wishes to rid themselves of these flaws, they must have their redacted, blah, 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 redacted. The ways to do this include redacted, or redacted. So that was is part Myconid. That was you fixing yourself last night. You discovered that you have a natural regenerative healing property now. And then you headed to sleep. You woke up the next day. You get back to the Earth Sentinel. You are there bright and early, ready to start the day. I told us that death was one way. Yes. Yeah, death is one way to fix it. Death and resurrection. But there are other ways on this list as well as to things to do. Can we bring a parasol today? Let's see. Percentage chance that Seed would have a parasol around the village, or the properties needed to make a parasol of your own. 55. I'm afraid not. No, there's only like I put it at like a 35% chance in my head that you would have a parasol. So no, you don't have a parasol, but you put your hood up to get out of the sun a little bit. You put a travelling hood up and you walk along, trying to stay under the canopies of the trees as much as you can until you get to the clearing of the Sentinel, and then you pop out. What is the weather like today? It is winter, after all. Early winter. Oh shit, it's downpour today. It is tipping it down, which is good because it's not direct sunlight for you. So it is as rainy as it gets. Suddenly the storm has started to roll in. So it is pissing it down as you get to the Earth Elemental plane. That's the Earth Sentinel, sorry. And you walk out there early morning and you touch the Sentinel and you say, Drenwillith, I'd love to get to the plane of Earth if you would please be so kind as to humbly accept my apologies for the trial mistake yesterday. I now know what my mistake was and I've learned. I would love to visit the plane of Earth to the middle grounds if possible. Nothing happens. Ranger with an aversion to sunlight. As soon as we can get rid of it, I hope that's the plan. You need some fungicides, maybe. Seems like nothing's happened. Apis, I will have you roll an intelligence check, please. Ooh, that is a 6. You are not sure why it's not opening. Obviously, the chances of the fact it's closed for good crosses your mind. It is possible that you have failed, and that's all you get. We tell him the correct order. I now know my mistake. It should have been sandstone, obsidian, limestone, talc. Nothing seems to happen. Seed, could you maybe burrow through the dirt to the portal? It's right. You know where it is. It's right beneath his hands. Horseshoe that. Ooh, before we do the seed thing, are we going to horseshoe it? Thumbs up if you want to horseshoe, or horseshoe emote. Seems like a lot of people are. Thumbs down if you don't want to horseshoe. Lucky horseshoe, for those who don't know, is a reroll once per day. It comes back on a dawn. It recharges on a dawn. Was it talc, limestone, obsidian, sandstone? Yes, from soft to hard it is, yes. Alright, we are going to reroll with a lucky horseshoe the intelligence check that you just failed. I'd genuinely forgotten about lucky horseshoe. I haven't used it in a while. That is a 15, which is much better. With an 18, you think about other possibilities, other reasons. As Seed is about to wild chip, you're like, actually, give me a second here. There must be something I can do here. You look back at the portal. There you go. You look back at the portal and you think, there must be something I can do. I came here yesterday afternoon and I took the trial and I failed the trial. It can't just say like once and done, you're never gonna be. I mean, maybe it's a cooldown. Maybe it's like I can't try again for a certain amount of time, but I've slept on it. I've come back in the morning and here we are. I came here yesterday afternoon, and now I'm here in the morning. Maybe it's a 24-hour cooldown, and it's still not been 24 hours. Maybe I'll come back in the afternoon. You ascertain that there may well be a 24-hour cooldown for every failed attempt on this trial. So, thinking that as a possibility, you took your hood up even further against the pissing rain, and you tell Seed, let's find something. I'm really not in the mood to be searching the forest for metal tonight during this downpour, Seed. And Seed said, no, not good for trade or fixing Sentinel. Good for watching Water Sentinel. Alright, let's go to the Water Sentinel. And Seed shifts into this whipping wind-like owl, and then picks you up in its windy claws and sets off towards the... In fact, I can't remember if he can pick you up when in the owl form or not, because he's an air elemental. So let's say he just turns into an eagle instead. It turns into a giant eagle, picks you up in the claws and flies you off to the Water Sentinel. And you have a nice morning just kind of chilling outside of... What's her name? Not important, but I kind of feel like looking it up anyway. What is her name? I've got it somewhere, haven't I? See if you guys can find it in your notes faster than I can. Oh Jesus, with this computer doing this, maybe that's not a good idea. My computer is going super slow today. I'm not gonna try and break it by asking it to do too much. Anyway, you go to the Water Sentinel lady, and you sit for the morning just watching her, and she looks like she is vibrant and she is full of life and vitality as the waterfall has gotten so huge and powerful. All of the froth that is coming from the water clashing against various different rocks is giving her so much more detail than it does when she's when the water level is lower. Shelandrienne, thank you very much, Asasha. You go to visit Shelandrienne, and you see this beautiful there's even highlights and things on her cheekbones from where the water is clashing over rocks just beneath the surface. It's a beautiful sight, and you spend your morning kind of just chilling out, having a little short rest, as it were. Eventually, you think it's about noon, so you should probably have some lunch and then head back to the Sentinel. So you do exactly that. You have a bit of lunch back at the village with Seed and Julius and Mel, and then you head back to the Sentinel in the afternoon, and you ask again. You're pretty sure it's about 2 or 3 in the afternoon, same as it was yesterday, and you touch the Sentinel. Since it's another day, can we try and grab some fireflies again? Yeah, because the ones that you had in your little makeshift lantern have probably started to die off because you didn't grab that many. So you'll refresh the same fireflies you had. Let's say you don't get any more, but you've got a reset on the time limit that those fireflies are going to stay alive. You head back to the Earth Sentinel. You put your hand on his elbow and you ask politely, "Please, let's try again. I want to head to the Earth Elemental." And he starts to shift his body. You breathe a sigh of relief, realizing that yes, it was a 24-hour cooldown for every time you fail the trial. You cannot try again for 24 hours. Hate to be so pushy. Can't fix the other Sentinels with the help of an Earth Elemental. Please let me try again. You sim again. You get yourself all wrapped up in your rope, and you abseil down into the pit. You bring your rope back to you, and you've got the 4 stones arranged as they were before, with the 4 holes in the wall. Same 4 stones as before. I was tempted that every time you fail, you get a different set of 4 stones. But that ended up just being more work for me, and I just didn't have the time, unfortunately. So you're lucky that I'm busy, because otherwise you would have had a set of 4 completely different stones, and you would have had to go again. And I would have just chosen on the Mohs scale every single time, just different stones. Just to prove that you know your way around the Earth Elemental plane. So, so Apis, you put the 4 stones in the correct order of the order of hardness from hard to soft. I also thought about, if I'd had time as well, I also thought about changing what the challenge was. Like, instead of hardness, it was like the depth that you would find it in when you dig, or you could have. I could have been like, what sort of? It could have been something to do with like the coloration, or it could have been to do with the age of these stones, or something. I don't know. I'm not a geologist, so I couldn't really think of other properties of Earth that I could have had you arrange in a definitive order. So I just went with hardness on the Mohs scale, because at least it's got non-abstract numbers that you can just straight up point to. 3 months later, Avis gets the Earth plane. Yeah, that's why I was asking vertical or horizontal holes, depth of digging or hardness scale. Yeah, right. I see, my fair lady. All right. So as Apis, you place the last of the things. You've put sandstone, obsidian, limestone, and then you place the talc into the hole with you and the earth elemental seed beside you. You place it in and you hope that it's not going to smash you in the face. There is a deep rumbling from way beneath you. It is ominous, but it is not as jarring or as horrible a sound as the grinding and crunching that you had when you got it wrong. The deep rumbling seems to penetrate up through the ground and up through your legs and into the walls of the pit until it's sort of like vibrating, and then the surface of the pit, where the arms were sitting, the hands were sort of forming the top of the pit. The hands just close over. It plunges you into pitch darkness as the hands of this earth sentimental. As the hands of this earth sentinel close the top of the pit entirely and essentially bury you alive in this hole in the ground. You're in pitch darkness and the ground continues to rumble and shake. You feel a little claustrophobia kind of starting to well up inside you. As a dwarf, you're kind of feeling a little more. You feel okay being underground, but usually when you can see, even with your dark vision, because there is not a single source of light, your dark vision's doing nothing. But there is something that allows you to feel like you know what your surroundings are. You can't see anything without a single source of light, because in my game's dark vision, if there's no source of light at all, you're not seeing anything. But if there's even like a little bit of light, you can see better than other people could with that level of light. There is no source of light, but the rumbling seems to almost be like sound to you. You can hear the rumbling as if it was sound waves. You can feel it tremoring through your legs. You know somehow exactly where Seed is standing. You know the width of this pit, and you know that the walls are closing in slightly. You can tell from the tremoring and the earth quaking that the dimensions of this pit are changing and moving and undulating almost. Milzy, you are correct. Apis has unlocked Tremor Sense. This is because recently I've started doing some world building, some expansion on the different races of my world. I started with Dwarf, and I've started thinking more about like what Dwarf means in my world rather than D&D lore. And I've realised Dwarves should have Tremor Sense. It makes sense to me that Dwarves should have Tremor Sense. And so Apis, we are retconning, essentially not retconning, because we're not going back in time and saying you've always had it. But I am going to unlock Tremor Sense for you from this point on. What that means for you is that if you are within 60 feet of some other creature that is connected to the same property of Earth that you are standing on, so if you are both standing on the same field, you can feel the tremor sense of that. If you are both standing on the same rock, you can feel the tremor sense through that. Basically, it means that you'll have the ability to know, even if you can't see them, when other creatures are connected to the same land as you are. It's not a fungi thing. You'll get to keep it even if you kill yourselves. Yes, it's a homebrew dwarf thing that I am going to be giving you from this point on. It is only a 60-foot tremor sense, though. FYI. Oh, actually, sorry. You are a ground dwarf, not a rock dwarf, so yours is 30 foot. The rock dwarves are what was called mountain dwarves, and they have a slightly stronger tremor sense. Alright, what about Mel? You left her behind, remember? You left her in the village so that she wouldn't be in danger here. Between the myconid connection to Earth and the amount of Earth around us, unlocking tremor sense at this moment makes sense. Yeah, I figured it was quite thematic that I happened to decide that my dwarves should have tremor sense right at the moment that you were going to the plane of Earth, and I was like, perfect time to unlock it within yourself. Apis feels this connection to this plane of Earth that they are not originally from, but they were originally inspired by. We'll get into that when we talk more about the origins of dwarves in my world building sessions. But the gods were inspired by the plane of Earth and the Earth elementals and things, and they created dwarves and made them in the plane of the material plane. So you can see that this bubble of air that you're in, this pit, has shifted and changed. You can kind of feel it within yourself because of the tremor sense. And then you look over to where Seed would be, and you can tell that Seed has kind of like shuffled himself down into the ground as well for safety. He's using his earth form still, so he can earth glide, and he's pushed himself down like partway into the pit around you. It doesn't take long, only about 40 seconds or so before it just stops, and there is a dead silence. It is the quietest you have heard anything be in your entire life. The sound is entirely dead, as only thousands of kilometers of rock on all sides of you can be. It is the most claustrophobic feeling that you could imagine. Even as a dwarf, it is unsettling how quiet and how buried you are. You're in pitch black. What do you want to do? How much water was brought with us? It was a downpour. It was a downpour. One of the things you notice as the pit settles is that it's not just the walls that have changed and the texture of the walls that have changed. It is the moisture in the air, the lack of humidity. It is dry. It is also cold. It is hard to breathe. It is a thick, dry air. Welcome to the plane of Earth, Apis. I can also say that you are the first people to ever step foot onto my plane of Earth in any of my games. Come on, Seed. May as well keep moving. I can get by without light for now, can you? You don't speak Terran, and in this form he doesn't speak Common. He understands it, doesn't speak it. Light a torch, get some light on. Use our lantern, start moving. Alright, so you head into your bag, you pull out that little lantern of fireflies, and suddenly there's a little bit of illumination. And in a world of utter silence and darkness, even the little illumination from the firefly bugs in the jar that you've got, the little makeshift lantern, it makes all the difference. Suddenly light is scattered over all of the walls with your dark vision. Now that there is a small source of light, basically dark vision turns... It can't do anything to pitch, but it turns darkness into dim and dim into passable light and like passable light into bright light. So it increases your light sensitivity of your eyes, essentially, dark vision. So now that there is a darkness, with not pitch dark but dark, it turns that into dim light. So with the fireflies, you can now see with dim light around you. You can see that you are in a pit that is no wider than about 6 feet wide at any point. It is no longer a perfect cylindrical pit like the one that you were in. You are just in a bubble of air between rock, essentially. There are fissures and cracks and things that can head deeper into the rock. Nothing large enough for you to squeeze down. You are just in a single chamber, it seems, a single bubble of air in this otherwise endless rock. Try to extend our newfound understanding of the Earth into the Earth and see if we can feel anything else. Alright, you push yourself to the limits of trying to feel the tremors of anything else. And there is like this rumble. Kind of omnipresent, kind of just around you. You can feel this sense of deep, kind of like if you push the blood through your ears and you hear that kind of very slight sort of rumbling. It's just kind of there. It doesn't have a direction to it per se. Light would make us a beacon to anything here. Darkness is probably safer unless we find something more open. Probably. Seed, I think we've made it to the Earth plane. Can you see if there's a way outside, if there is such a thing? I'll take a look around as well, see what I find. Nods his little rock badger head, and then he just earth glides into the rock, swimming sort of motion, and just disappears, and leaves the rock untouched on his return, on his disappearance. Grab the scarf out. Put it up over the mouth and nose to try and filter out some dust and dirt so you're not breathing that in. Very clever there, because that was going to become a problem. That is a difficulty of being here, is that the air is thick with dust and dirt, and if you hadn't done something like that, then in 10 minutes you would have been suffering some problems. So very well thought there. Other creatures that visited this plane had no need to touch the ground then. Not sure what you mean. The creatures that visit this plane no need to touch the ground. I don't know what you mean, sorry, Puckman. We need to conserve oxygen until we know there will be enough for us. Simulate a lighthouse for a day, get a horseshoe back? You can if you want, yes. You know that being on the from being in the Feywild that planes that don't have a day-night cycle, the Earth elemental plane is definitely one such plane, being that it's all underground. Planes that don't have a day-night cycle do not have a dawn, and with them not having a dawn, you don't get your once per dawn recharges on things like your horseshoe. So you can try and simulate the simulate a lighthouse with your glowfly lanterns. And if you can simulate a lighthouse, you can pray to Thelrios, the god of the sun. And if you pray to Thelrios and you are successful, then he returns all of your dawn-charged abilities to you. You discovered all of this during your excursion to the Feywild. You also discovered, however, that while you can do it more than once per day, you can recharge your once-per-day abilities several times a day. Each time you attempt it, it is based. The difficulty of you succeeding is based on how long it's been since it was last recharged, essentially. So you can try that if you want. If you want to try and simulate a lighthouse while you're standing here, see if you can get that lucky horseshoe back, then thumbs up in the chat. Thumbs up if you want to try and pray to Thelrios, god of the sun, and get your lucky horseshoe back. Can we feel any lichen or fungus with our plant sense? Fantastic idea, Abis. You use your action to unlock the sort of vibe that you get from being a part mushroom. You try and think about any kind of plant life, funguses, lichens, algae. Not a single thing, not an iota. Not even a couple of blades of anything or a little thumbnail-sized bit of lichen. There is nothing within range of you that is considered plant life. We should ask TomTom about the location of the portal back to our plane so we have an exit strategy when we need it. Alright, and thumbs up yes for the simulating a lighthouse. You you think about how you're going to need all of the help you can get, all of the luck that you can get. And you think about, I was probably pretty lucky today already, getting here and not dying, like being in a place where I can breathe and move around. So I've probably used some of my luck. I should probably try and be as lucky as I can. You get your lantern, you cover off one side of it, so it's a lighthouse kind of a thing, and you kind of pick it up and spin around. And you feel a little bit stupid doing it, but hey, you're thousands of miles underground in a plane of Earth, so who the hell's going to see you and judge, other than all of you guys? So I'm going to roll you a religion check to see how well you are doing to recharge this ability. That is a 4 plus your religion of 3. Do you want to use your inspiration to re-roll that? Because if you use your inspiration to re-roll and you're successful, then you'll get your lucky horse back. Is there any harm in trying it now? You don't know, right? If those fireflies start dying, we won't do it again. I think we re-roll. Ironic to use the luck to get back out of the luck. Yeah. Alright, so unfortunately your prayers are not answered. Maybe your heart wasn't in it, or maybe you are too deep underground for Thelrios to see you, or you don't know. You don't know what. Your religion within a 7 is just not enough to know why it failed. You don't know enough about the god Thelrios. Maybe you should look into him a little bit more, perhaps, when you get the opportunity. So instead, you get TomTom out, and you say, TomTom, and scuttling out into the center of the palm of your hand, little electric blue bug. You say, "Where's the nearest portal to the material plane?" And he kind of does a little circle in the palm of your hand, and then scuttles off up your little finger. You walk right over to the wall of the very small chamber that you're in, and it goes as far as you can, and he's pointing in a very particular direction in this portal. You kind of lift your hand up and push your hand down to get the height and depth of this portal as well, and eventually you realize that kind of upwards at an angle off to your right there is a portal to the material plane, but it is not in the chamber that you are in. So eventually, after about another 5 or 10 minutes, something starts to bulge and bud out of one of the walls beside you, and it's not long before you see these like badger claws coming out, and this rock face pushing out into the thing, and then out of his form back into Seed form. Seed says, lot of rock around, not much anything else. There bit of hole, bit of crevasse between here and over there, and he kind of points up towards a wall, kind of in the direction off to your right, vaguely in the direction of the portal, but not quite. So there's big hole, crevasse canyon thing over there. As he's speaking, there is a huge earthquake starts. It is big and strong and long. And if this was a tsunami country, you'd be in trouble. But it's not. You're thrown around a bit. I'm going to have you make a dexterity check to see if you can stay on your feet. Sorry, dexterity saving throw, which is for you a 3 plus another 3 from your proficiency, 6. I think I forgot to give you a proficiency bonus on your dex save earlier today. You get an 11 on your dex save. 11 is just enough to stay on your feet and not take any damage. Well, you take 1 point of damage, but that'll heal back in about 10 minutes because of your Myconid type abilities. Oof. So you kind of injure your ankle a little bit just from stumbling around, and it continues for a good minute at least, this earthquake. It throws Seed off of entirely what he was saying, and by the end of it, the pit that you're in, there's a huge crack has opened in the wall down it. It's still not quite enough for you to fit down as a dwarf, but it's a lot larger now. You can also feel this kind of very, very, very faint light breeze coming from that crack. It seems like something has opened up into a larger cavern, maybe. Eventually, Seed says the earthquake stops, and Seed says, Yes, not much else around, just rock and holes and crack and canyon. Can we sense if the Earth is moving or if there's something moving it? With your tremor sense out to 60 feet, you can tell that there's nothing moving within the Earth. You were able to tell when seed started to come back and entered your range. You were able to tell that when seed was moving around as an elemental. But the earthquake was just an earthquake, it seems. You can breathe in, it will be fine. You can squeeze. It is a small enough passage to squeeze into. However, if there is another earthquake and the rock shifts, you could get trapped. You could get squished in there. So it's really up to you. The same could be said about the pit that you're in as well. Think small. Think small thoughts. All right, suck your gut in. Oh, actually breathe your gut out would be better. You get yourself ready. You think small thoughts. You take your satchel bag and you shift it down off to your side rather than off on your back. You don't have the perch that Mel can sit on anymore. You probably in preparation took that off so that you've got less stuff to carry, and you know Mel's not coming with you, so you've taken the perch off your bag. You've taken as much stuff away as you could before you came here. You've got your quiver down one hip and your bag down the other. You turn sideways and you say, "Seed, any chance you can widen this passage a bit so we can make it through faster?" Yes, Seed can do that. And Seed walks over and starts like just pulling at rocks and stuff with his like elf hand. And you watch him doing this for a good 30 seconds, and then you're like, Can you do it as an elemental? And he says, "Oh yes, Seed do elemental," and then turns into an elemental. He's not the smartest guy. He turns into an elemental and he starts to dig with his badger claws, and instead of using his earth glide ability, he actually just tears at the rock. And he starts to tear chunks out of the rock. He's more like a ghost, isn't he? What, Seed? No, Seed is very, very much a physical elemental when he turns into his elemental form. It's just his earth glide ability means that he can choose to move through solid rock and dirt as if it was water. And he doesn't displace it as he does so. Well, he displaces it as he's moving, but then it returns to how it was as he moves past it. Earth glide is a feature that he can choose to use when he's burrowing through rock, but he can still like tear at the rock with his claws if he wants to. All right. So what I'm going to do now, is I'm going to open up my document all about the world, all about the elemental plane of Earth. All right, denizens of the random encounter table. Here we go. So I'm going to roll now to see now that you are affecting the land itself. Now that Seed is tearing off chunks, that is both affecting the tremor sense of anything in the area. It is going to be making noise. You have a little bit of fireflies in a jar. You've also brought some moisture in with you on your person and in your person, and the earth elemental plane itself is going to be like, that's not earth, that's water. The heat from your body temperature, it's like, that's fire. What's going on here? That's not the plane. That's not the material it's meant to be. Because you are a presence that could be attracting attention from things, I'm going to roll some random encounters. Let's hope that we don't roll a purple worm. Alright, so the chance of a random encounter, let's see. Okay. Then we're going to roll a d4 to see what type of encounter it is. Number 1, geographic difficulty. Alright, so it's a geographic difficulty encounter, so I'm going to roll 2d4 to see what kind of geographic difficulty it is. 6. Okay. As you are squeezing down this passage that has been opened a little bit from Seed, and Seed is kind of moving in front of you, crushing and pushing and getting into that cave and trying to push rock aside. He's taking some of it and then like earth gliding with it and moving back into that cavern and kind of filling up that cavern and coming back in, and you're like squeezing down sideways as a dwarf. There is another earthquake, and the chasm below you, the ground below you cracks more, and it starts to widen, which at first is like, oh good, I can finally breathe. But then it continues to widen. And it's like the rock on the back of you is just kind of slipping away. And this huge chasm opens below you. And I need a dexterity saving throw as you start to fall and slide down this the side of this cavern. Alright. Dexterity save. That is a 6 plus onto that is a 17. 17 total. 17 is success, so you'll only take half damage from the 2d8 sliding down. That is 10, so you'll take half, 5 points of damage. Nice. As you're sliding and slipping, you're trying to hold onto walls. Eventually, you manage to find a grip that's large enough for you to hold onto, and the chasm seems to have like opened up, and it's broken out into this huge chasm. It seems like below you was this larger space, this larger hole, this huge bubble of earth, and as it's broken through the floor / ceiling. It is now combined into this one huge cavern. So what do you want to do, Apis? You are now hanging off of the side of this wall with your foot on like a small ledge about this big, so you're just enough to kind of hold on to. Seed has like come out from the wall beside you as the badger and is like looking around like what the hell's just happened. What do you want to do? We tied a rope between ourselves and Seed. We definitely said we tied a rope between ourselves and Seed. For sure we did. Seed is earth gliding around with this rope, and it's going to become harder and harder for you to do that. Seed, some help, please. Seed retracts back into the wall and then comes back out beneath you and just kind of like sticks his body like out of the rock, just earth gliding, and you can just like kind of have a bit more of a ledge to stand on, standing between his shoulder blades. We have light. Yes, you've got in your hand. You've got a small jam jar, like a little mason jar, and you've got tiny little holes in the lid. And inside that is a little bit of sugar water and some glowworm, glow bugs, fireflies. You would not believe my eyes. Use our magic rope. Grab onto an outcropping and climb down. So your magic rope is about 60 feet long. It is far more than 60 feet down. What do we come to look for in here? Have we seen any materials we need? You've currently just seen rock, and it's very hard to see any rock as well because it's so dim in here. Even with your firefly light, it's very dim light. Your eyes are turning it from darkness to dimness with you being in, with dark vision. But you haven't been investigating the rocks for any of the materials you need. Could we, with an arrow in each hand, use them to help us stay on the ledge while we continue along? Like, you could try. The rock face that you're currently on is much too hard for arrows to dig into easily, but you could use them to like wedge them into. You can't just dig them into rock, but you could use them as a climbing aid to try and like wedge them in between things and give you a bit more of a handhold. Potentially. You'd have to put your lantern away if you wanted to have an arrow in each hand. Do we need to roll to make sure we don't drop our lantern? No, I'm not going to make you do that. Not now, anyway. If we can see a little into the cavern, maybe we take something like... maybe we take something valuable like gems. We can find anything on the nearby walls. Yeah, okay, if you want to. Let's do an investigation check now. Now that you're kind of just standing here with a moment to catch your breath and look around. Let's look down as far as you can see down any walls on either side and see if you can see anything shiny that's opened up. Ooh, that was a failure to even hit the tray. Alright, investigation check. I rolled the same number in the tray as I did out. That is a 4. That is a 4 investigation plus 3 investigation. That is a 7. I will allow you to have proficiency here, but not expertise because of your dwarvish thing. So I will make that. I'll bump that up to a 10 with the fact that you're a dwarf. With a 10 investigation, you look down from where you can see with Seed. If you could see better, maybe you'd have a better chance of it. But with the small amount of light that you're getting from this, you can see a couple of glinting areas. Nothing that looks like gemstones, like nice, perfectly cut gemstones just in the wall, like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs style. but you do see definite different striations in the wall of different ores, veins of ores and things. So you have different rock that you could start chipping away at if you wanted any particular type of rock, or if you wanted to take some like iron ore or something, you could probably find some of that. Do we see an exit to the passage that we're following? One that's not down. You could throw a torch down, yeah. You do not see any exits. No, you just see that it's kind of, you're on the wall of a now large cavern that's kind of both in both directions. As you're watching now, the plates, the walls seem to move again, but this time instead of pushing back, the wall opposite you seems to be moving. It could be that the wall you're on is moving, but it feels more like the opposite wall is moving, and it's moving laterally. It's moving sideways, just slowly, but it is grinding and moving and cracking, and stones are falling from above. Which is interesting because that indicates that there is a gravity, there is a down in this plane. Time to play some Minecraft. Yeah. Rob plays Minecraft in Dungeons and Dragons. So you need to craft a pickaxe, and then your pickaxe has got durability. Every time you use it, I'm going to roll a dice, and if I ever roll a 1, that destroys the pick. I literally just rolled a 1 when I was taking the piss just then. But roll a 1, it destroys the pickaxe, and you have to make a different pickaxe. But if you create a hardier pickaxe with, oh man, it's been a while since I played Minecraft. What's the most durable stuff you can get? You go wood, stone, iron. Gold is less durable, but faster. Diamond. That's what you get. If you make it a diamond pickaxe, then instead of rolling a 1, it's you have to roll a percentage and get a 1 on that instead. This neuron feels like we may be standing on an elemental. I mean, you are now. Yes, you are standing on the back of Seed, who is an elemental. But I don't know what you mean. You mean like even larger elemental. Let's keep moving along this ledge. Seems like the only way out is through. Can we use our tremor sense to notice which way seems the most stable and isn't constantly shifting? None of it is stable, it seems, Redial. The entire ground around you seems to be ready for earthquakes and moving at any point. It seems like the plane of Earth itself is moving a lot. Played Snakes and Ladders in D&D once. I've played D&D in D&D once, where our characters all sat around in a tavern and played D&D. I still want to try and surf on Seed. That's actually a pretty good idea, Tree of Dave. So we'll go the only way out is through route, but we'll also stick around with Seed. You say Seed, and the little badger head kind of looks back up to try and see you over his shoulder. Seed, could you move laterally? You're like, that he's not going to know that word. Seed, could you move sideways along the wall, like carefully move sideways so that I can still stand on you, but you can also move me along the ledge? Can we go through this canyon a bit? And he starts to just shift sideways. He's using his earth glide, and he's kind of like moving sideways, crab walking as it were, along the wall, and you're just still standing at the nape of his neck, and he's just moving along the sideways. You start to move through the canyon. You can see that the wall opposite is kind of moving at the same speed as you now, like you're kind of just moving along with it. It's not long, maybe 10 minutes or so, before the wall opposite stops moving with a big shifting, and then it starts immediately shifting the other direction. This feels both cool and awkward. Also, am I heavy to you? I'm worried about hurting you. Shifts his head. Seed in this form is size category large, which gives him advantage on lifting things and carrying things and all that sort of stuff. So he's a dwarf. A dwarf on his back is not a big problem. 10 minutes, you say? That's an HP. Excellent. Thank you for the reminder. You guys will need to remind me if as and when time is passing, so that you recover some health. So yeah, about 10 minutes of traversing this thing, the wall starts to move the other direction. So eventually you get to a point where the ledge is like larger now. It's more of a an entrance to more of the caverns and stuff. You don't need Seed to stand on anymore. You step off of him and thank him, and he shifts out of the wall and comes walking up behind you as his giant badger. What do you want to do? Which direction are you going, and what's your intention while you're here? What are you hoping to achieve on this plane of Earth? Is there any way we can feel how far down in the Earth we are, like pressure-wise? You use your tremor sense, you use your connection to Earth and your dwarven contact with the ground. There's no way of knowing from the silence, the sheer silence around you, other than the shifting earthquakes and rocks and stuff. The silence of lack of any other sound above means that you are a long way underground. You would know from your studies of the elemental plane of Earth, from your preparation, you've been reading your planes books and stuff, you'd know that the plane of Earth is infinite in every direction. It's a confusing non-Euclidean place where it's infinite in every direction, but if you know the direction you're going, you can reach the surface, and the surface is where it meets other planes. So it's surface. If you wanted to go from the Earth plane to the airplane, you can do so. You just need to know where you're going, essentially. If you don't know where you're going, you could travel in the same direction but never get there. Does that make sense? It's a non-Euclidean place. It doesn't use real world geometry. So if you head off in a direction without knowing where you're going, you could be in the plane of Earth underground forever. But if you know where you're going and you head off in that same direction and you have a thought in mind and you know the things you need to do to get to the plane of Earth, then you will eventually get to the plane of Earth. It's a weird place. Looking for the right materials to fix the cauldron, as well as hoping to find a friendly elemental or denizen to help us with the air sentinel. Alright, so you've got in mind what your plan is while you're here. You need to look for a certain igneous rock that will help you fix the fire sentinel, and you need to look for friendly denizens that could help you fix the air sentinel. How are you going to achieve that? Kind of like an MC Escher plane, yes. Can we ask TomTom where a plane is, not just a portal? That is exactly what I was trying to hint at, Spates, when I was saying if you know the direction to go. So if you had, as a Horizon Walker Ranger does, certain innate abilities to like find portal and your extension of your find portal, which is represented by TomTom, if you used something like that and said, where's the nearest location to the plane of air, it would point you in a direction, and then if you go far enough in that direction, you'll start to blend into the plane of air. But you'll first go through the quasi-elemental planes, the secondary elemental planes, which is the plane of dust, I believe. The border between the plane of air and the plane of earth is known as the plane of dust, and it is basically like a big old sandstorm. Recheck for minerals and gems now. Alright, so you bring out TomTom and you say, which plane are you looking for? Are you looking for a plane of air, or are you looking for a way out back to the material plane with TomTom? In the meantime, you do look around for minerals and gems and things. Let's have another little look around, shall we? Now that you've got your feet on solid ground, let's give you another check. That is a 5, which is slightly better than before, by 1 point. You look around and there's no minerals or gems in the walls here. I think it's important to keep reference to the return portal. Okay, so you ask TomTom, where is the nearest portal back to the material plane? And he, having found it before from his little wander, it takes him less time this time to sort of reevaluate his surroundings, and then points off. And he points kind of back a little bit in the direction you just came from, that big old canyon, but now it's gone down. And it was up and to the right before. And now it seems like it might be down. So it seems like something has shifted within it. Maybe the portal itself has moved, or maybe maybe that portal has closed and another portal has opened. I'll make you, actually with that, I'm going to make you an intelligence check. Oh, nat 20, look at that. Nat 20 plus your intelligence, 23. With that, you can tell that it has shifted in about the same dimensions as you would have expected it to have shifted if the portal was in a set location in the wall that was moving. So when it pointed in a direction at first, it was upwards and to the right, and then I said that it kind of felt like the wall was shifting and falling away from you. And with that, the portal itself has moved down behind you, and then you've moved along the canyon as the canyon wall was moving with you, and then the canyon wall stopped and started moving away from you, which is why instead of being in front, it's now moved behind you. So it's moved behind and to the bottom rather than ahead and to the front, because it seems like the portal to the material plane is in a set place on that wall of the canyon that's just shifted. How does gravity work here? Seems like it's working as normal. Rob, does the PEA have anything against selling material from other planes that we remember? You don't know enough about the PEA to know what their rules and regulations are, but you wouldn't have thought so. Puckfin stuff falls here, so there's gravity. Yeah, that's all we know. Can we grab a piece of the cauldron that we definitely took with us and focus on it and see if that leads us to more of it? All right, yes. So you definitely took a little piece of the cauldron with you. We'll say that you did that in your plenty of time of preparation that you had. You took some of the cauldron with you. All right. How I'm going to do this is basically there's a 100% chance of success for this one. And because the cauldron is not asking too much of the preparation, I'm going to add 20. All right, so what this means is I'm going to roll a percentile die. You need to just get any number to succeed. So why are you rolling? Because this is going to set the chances of your next one succeeding. I'll explain in a second. 99, look at that. 99, perfect. So a 99 is a success. I just shifted that as I moved it. 99 is a success, and it sets the next DC as a 99. But because the cauldron piece was such an easy thing for you to have taken with you, I'm going to add a 20 to that as well. So 119 is the DC next time. So the next time you attempt to do something, you need to roll below 119 to succeed. You take out your piece of cauldron, and you focus on it. You focus on the type of material that it is, and let's see if you have any way of this leading you to something else. Let me think. As a dwarf, you definitely feel connected to it. You feel like it's you can understand the properties of this stone in your hand. You definitely can tell that it's like a lava stone. It's igneous rock. You can tell that it's really dense. Like it's a really dense lava stone that is very pure. It kind of feels like a very pure ferrous metal in that all of the... it's not ferrous, but it feels like in the same way that ferrous metals are, because all of the atoms are kind of lining up in the right direction. It's got this very lattice-like structure to it, almost crystalline in that respect. So you can tell a lot about this stone from being a dwarf, but you don't have a natural draw to where more of this stone would be. But you remind yourself of what it is you're looking out for at the very least. And you look around and you can't see any of that in the immediate vicinity. Does it taste like a ferrous metal? No. Tastes salty almost. Did I hear physics? Yes, you did. Do we fall at the same rate? Do we feel heavier than usual? You think about testing that, you jump a bit, and you feel about the same density as you would. You feel a little bit heavier maybe, but maybe that's just your mind playing tricks on you, making you want to look out for differences. It doesn't affect your speed or your strength, it seems, but maybe you're a little heavier. Maybe that's just because the air feels heavy and it's kind of thick with dust. Do we know the name of this rock? You do not. Show the piece to Seed as well. Make sure that he's familiar with it. You do so. You take a moment. Seed, this is what we're looking for, by the way. He shifts back out of his wild shape elemental form. He looks at it. Oh, yeah. He takes it in his hand and feels it. Tastes like apis saliva. Gross. He hands it back to you and then shifts back into his wild shape. For those wondering, Seed, as I mentioned before, is a homebrewed druid. One of the features that he has is that he can shift in and out of his same wild shape without it costing him another wild shape, as long as it's the same form that he's doing. If he wanted to become a different animal or something, then he would have to spend more of his wild chips to do so, which means that he would have to take a short rest to regain them. But whenever it's the same form, he can come in and out of it. So Apis, you have spent a good 10 minutes standing around here doing very little else. You've kind of ascertained which direction the portal is currently. You can now see that the side of the chasm that you're on has started to shift as well and is kind of moving upwards. It seems like these two plates of this thing are moving in relation to one another. They've also started to close up down the far end of the canyon. You can kind of see them pinching off and coming your way, pinching off in your direction. It's a good few hundred feet away, but it's still very slowly pinching off in your direction. What do you want to do? Primeval awareness to find an earth elemental now that Seed is back into elf form. You could do that if you want. Yes, thumbs up if you want to use your primeval awareness. I believe it's a once per day. I always forget whether it's once per day or once per short rest. Thumbs up if you want to use primeval awareness to search for elementals. See if there's any elementals in your area. Single elementals in your area. Alright, wonderful. To remind you, you can set a radius from yourself, and then you can ask for any number of types of creatures, and then it will come back with a yes or a no as to whether there are any of that type of creature in that area. We don't need Tinder. Let's just keep looking. Go on a Tinder date with a fire elemental. It was hot. Better move away from that particular canyon so we don't get pinched by the walls. Yes. All right. So you'll ask Seed, hey, can you drop elemental for a second? He drops back into his seed form. And you say, I'm just going to see if there's any other elementals in the area. As the walls are coming towards you, you've got another couple minutes before it gets a problem for you. So you take a second to think what it feels like to have elementals in the area, what it's felt like when you fought the earth elementals a while back, when you were with Seed and fixing the earth elementals sentinel. What is the radius that we are going to set? What do you guys think? You can go anything up to 1 mile. You are not in your favoured terrain. Sorry, no forest bonus. What is a cave but a forest of the ground? You are not in a forest, so you don't get your forest bonus, so you can go up to a maximum of 1 mile. What do you want to? How far do you want to go? Since we've got both objectives in mind, both finding the lava stone and finding a friendly helper, maybe we'll find a friendly lava stone elemental helper. Maybe. You want to go all the way out to 1 kilometer? Stalagmites look like trees. Stalagmites look like trees, therefore we're in a forest. You reckon we're on one leg of a very large creature? Half of that could be good, and then we could lower it if we get a hit and start triangulating. In order to do that, I would have to remind myself that the fact of the matter as to whether it's a short rest or long rest that you can do this on. And I'm going to have to try and come up with a mnemonic to remind myself of which it is, because for some reason I just can never remember. Primeval awareness. So it's just spell slots. You can do it as many times as you want. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. It's as many times as you want, just as long as you got spell slots. Okay, cool. Alright, so no point spending more than one level 1 spell slot for it, so we will spend a spell. This is the first time Apis has spent a spell slot in forever. And you listen. And you focus out to 1 mile radius as to other elementals in the area. And I'm going to roll to see if there is. Because they're not just in abundance here. That is not an elemental. And that one is an elemental, yes. You do hear a ping, a yes comes back. There is at least 1 elemental within 1 mile of you, which could be in any direction. It is not the greatest of features, but I do have intentions of leveling it up as Apis gets better at horizon walking. You've been leveling up your fighter lately. Your last 2 level ups have been fighter, so I haven't been increasing your ranger abilities, but the primeval awareness is going to get better as you level up, because at the moment it's not super useful. I have intentions that eventually, at a high enough level, you'll be able to expend a spell slot and know like specific pinpoints of numbers and stuff, but it'll take a while to get to that level. Tremor sense, find if it's close. It's not within 60 feet of you. What is now within 60 feet of you is the pinching plates as they're pushing together and sliding past each other, and you can feel the grinding and the earthquaking as it is moving past. I hate Primeval Awareness so very much. It's a total waste of spell slots. Not entirely. It does have very niche uses, like if you suspect somebody to be an undead or somebody that's hiding, then you can be like, are there any undead within 1 meter of me? And then you can get a yes and be like, okay, this guy's undead. But failing that, it's not the most useful in the way that it's written. Let's move about 200 feet or so and use it to half mile. See if we get closer or further away. That's a good idea. Who wants to do that? Because then you will start burning through your spell slots, but you will be triangulating to see which direction an elemental is and see if you can get close to one. 1 more fighter level. If you level us now, we can get that last fighter level out of the way. Innocent luck. Maybe if you survive this arc of the campaign with the level ups and stuff, you can get that extra level. So thumbs up, thumbs down. Do you want to move and triangulate with another use of the primeval awareness? Yeses and nos. Pretty along the way. Canon, if we live, you level up. You heard it here, folks. You also heard me say if. And maybe. Oh, okay. So it was a yes and no straight down the middle kind of thing, and I was going to put a poll together, but now the no's are definitely having it. No's are definitely taking over. Save the spell slots in case we need to find something. Alright, so you've moved. You start moving away. This cavern is moving in. We need to start moving away. You notice that you are moving in the direction opposite to where the material plane exit is. So the way out, the closest material portal exit, is going to be relatively difficult to get to if these things don't open again. But given that you've been here less than an hour or two, and you've already seen this thing open into a big old chasm and then close again, it seems like they are moving quite a lot. I will say that in the next 10 minutes, as you move through the caves and the caverns and pushing yourself through little gaps and getting seed to open up little gaps and stuff, you've healed another hit point. Can we rhythmically stamp on the ground as hard as we can to attract attention, since it would not be common in this plane? Very smart, Batman. You start to do that. You put yourself into like a marching stampede, as it were. So that is going to bring down the length of time that it's going to take for you to encounter a being. I already rolled ahead of time as to see like how long you're going to be on this plane before you encounter anything, because of how rare creatures are in this area. But because you are actively trying to attract attention, that's going to bring that down. So let's head over to here and let's roll another encounter. What is the next difficulty that you encounter in your time here? All right. Aren't we still standing on Seed? Are we stomping on his back now? No, you are not still standing on Seed. He took you to a ledge that you could stand on, and you've walked down into some cave now, and he's coming along with you. All right, difficulty number 2 that you find. Eventually, after about, I'm going to say, another 20 minutes, so you're going to get back up to full health. After about another 20 minutes, you come to a complete dead end. You've left the earthquake quite far behind, the plates that were moving and shifting. You can still feel the rumbling, but it's like way in the distance behind you. And you've come to a complete dead end. You get Seed. He shifts into the rock. He comes back after a good 5 minutes and says there's nothing that way. There's no There's no openings, no bubbles of air, there's no anything. You are at the geographic difficulty of solid rock blocks the way forward in all directions. I'm also keeping a track of how long you've been on this plane of existence, by the way. Just because there is a time shift element to it, like there was in the elemental plane of air, and like there was in the Feywild. You don't know which direction that time shift is, or how powerful it is, how strong it is, but I will be keeping a track of how long you've been on this plane of existence before you head back to the material plane. So what do you want to do, everybody? You are encountering all sorts of problems left and right. You are stamping, doesn't seem to have attracted enough attention. What next? Timey-wimey stuff. What is it for? Oh, lucky. Oh, okay. Interesting. Which one is it? 2d6. Panpipes? You wanna do some panpipes checks? 6. Oh, cool. That's gonna be fun. Seed. I sensed an elemental within a mile from us before, about 20 minutes ago. Could you take a look around and see if you find it? Just don't approach it without me. Yes, Seed look. And Seed is going to earth glide away and just leave you to as he goes and searches a mile radius in a perfect sphere above, below, left and right, just looking for an elemental. It's going to take him a while. Well, it might take him a while. I'll roll an investigation check for him in a second. In the meantime, while you are waiting for Seed to return, you bring out your panpipes. You bring out your panpipes and you have a little play. So let's go to panpipes check. You are proficient in panpipes. This is going to be a performance check. You can see in your skills that you're not proficient in performance, but you are proficient in panpipes. So it's just charisma plus panpipes, which is a +4. +4 to the roll. Let's see how well you do. That is a 12. 12 plus 4 is a 16. With a 16, you are doing a good job of panpiping because nobody is around to judge you or listen. You are far below ground. You are miles and miles and miles of rock on all sides. There is no one with ears for miles around, and so you're finally doing an above-average, passable job. You're alone, so you should be okay. Exactly. Your crippling anxiety about playing panpipes in front of people apparently is not. Watches that one hit the resonant frequency of the plane of Earth and just like complete collapse. Use our ring and continually planar strike the wall. Might reverberate a bit further than a stamping. That's interesting as well, Millsy. So you using the ring, you summon your planar. What is it called? Planar warrior. Summon a planar warrior and just start hitting the wall. And you are thumping with a rhythmic punch. You are taking hit points of damage from punching your fist into solid rock, but in enough time that will heal again, so I'm not going to worry about adjusting for it. You slam your fist into the wall for so long, so I'm going to have to check which one of this is. I'm going to need to roll a d5, which is going to be this d10 halved, rounded up. 6 halved, 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, interesting. You start thumping your rhythmic hand into that. I'm going to roll just odds and evens to see if Seed finds them first or if you find them with this rhythmic thing. Odds is Seed will find them first. Evens, you find them first. All right. As you are punching the wall and Seed has disappeared to try and find where this elemental is, you stop for a second to kind of like, oh, that hurts. You shift the ring over to the other hand and try the other hand for a bit. Planar warrior, and you realise as you were shifting your feet that your feet kind of got stuck a little bit in the floor. You don't really think much of it at first, but then a second or two later you realise that up to your ankles is quicksand now, and you think, ah, crap, and you pull your feet out, or at least you're trying to. So I will have you roll a strength check. That is a 6. 6 plus your strength check. You are proficient in athletics, so that's going to take it to a 10. With a 10, you are unable to bring your feet out of the quicksand, and the quicksand is now bubbling up around you. You can look down and see that you are stuck in it, and it is like a mound, a hill, almost like a pitcher's mound of quicksand that is coming up out of the ground, and it is pushing up your legs, and you are up to your knees in quicksand. What do you want to do? Lay down. That's how you defeat quicksand. Lay down. All right. You lay down. You quickly get your magic rope. You wrap it around yourself. You tell it to wrap around something above, and then you lie down to reduce the surface area. You lay down. You sort of sit your body down onto the quicksand, and your hands out to the sides as the rope is now extending outwards and coiling itself around something. In the time it takes for the rope to move up and coil itself around like a stalactite, this quicksand is pushing up. It's now around your waist and your butt, and you realise that nope, it seems like laying down may defeat regular quicksand, but as it is bulging up out of the floor, it seems like it's taking more amorphous kind of a shape to it. It has these pseudopod-like protrusions from this quicksand. It starts to pull out. The rope is now wrapped around something, and you give the command, coil! And the rope starts to pull, and let's see if the rope will pull you up and out of it. Let's go with a strength, but a strength based on the rope against the... Actually, it's a roll-off between the rope and the quicksand. The rope got a... the quicksand unfortunately got more. So the rope is pulling and pulling and pulling, but eventually it just slips off of the stalagmite, and the quicksand is kind of like pulled up and around you. You feel your feet hit floor, like the stone of the floor beneath you, where you were originally standing, as the quicksand amorphous blob has pulled up and around you and pushes over your head. You're going to take some crushing damage, and you are going to start to suffocate. So the crushing damage you're going to take is 1, 2, where's my other D8? There it is. 1, 2, 8, and then it depends on your constitution save to see if you can... See if you're hardy enough to... Nope, not with a 3, you're not. So with a 3, you'll take the full damage, which is going to be 16 points of crushing damage. 16 off of 74 is 58. So you take 16 points of crushing damage as it starts to push in and suffocate you. And then you feel like your left hand, from where you kind of like laid down a bit, your left hand is now pushed out beneath the quicksand and is pushed down onto stonework. Your feet and hand are now touching bare stone, and you can feel air around them. It seems like the quicksand is just kind of pushed up around your body, as pushed up over your head, and is now like pushing upwards still. You're still suffocating. You have a con mod of 2, thankfully, so you've got 2 full rounds before you actually pass out and go to 0 hit points. But you will take another bunch of crushing damage before it moves off of your person. So another constitution saving throw on the next round. Actually, I suppose it comes back to you and you have a round to do something else if you want. Misty Step. Thumbs up, thumbs down for Misty Step. It would cost you a 2nd level spell slot, but you might be able to get out of this without any further crushing. Alright, with a yes, an overwhelming yes, we cast Misty Step. We think, oh god, I don't want to die inside of some quicksand blob in some elemental plane. So you think down, your skin starts to tingle. You think about where your hand is and the fact that it's exposed. So you want to just Misty Step like that direction. You know the direction you want to Misty Step. You want to just be like a meter to the left. And sure enough, you reappear a meter to the left and kind of slam down on the ground. You've left the rope behind, and the rope is still attached to just like dangling out of this quicksand blob. But then you quickly get to your feet and turn that direction, and you see standing there before you this... I feel like I can see it in my head, but I'm trying to find the words to describe it. It is tripedal, meaning it has 3 different legs like a tripod. And it has this like general bulbous body, and then this almost trunk-like protuberance out of one side of it near you. It is seemingly made of quicksand, and it seems like a very much definitely an elemental of sorts. And this thing
kind of reaches out in your direction after you've misty stepped over there, and the quicksand sort of touches you, and you push your hand through it, and it kind of grabs a hold of you. I'm going to have you make an insight check with disadvantage, because you've never encountered raw elementals before. You've encountered Seed, but he has the mind of Seed whenever he's an elemental. You've not encountered an elemental as an elemental. So with disadvantage, insight check, 8 or 16, 8 plus your insight of 2, 10. With the 10, it is hard to know whether this thing is being hostile or not. It is clearly not. If it's hostile, then it's not a very good fighter. Like, it seems very passive in its movements. It seems kind of slow. It seems almost investigatory. But with you touching any part of it, you do get sort of grappled by it and kind of started to get sucked into it a little bit. You can pull your hand away from its little protuberance thing, and you can see your rope kind of dangling out of its side. After we're free of it, we could try and take a friendly posture and offer it one of the pebbles we brought with us. A small offering might show it we're friendly. So you reach out, you grab your rope of commanding, and you say, loose yourself from this beast. You try and speak to it in Elvish commands as best you can. You're not the greatest at speaking Elvish, so you're not exactly sure how, but you do tell it, like, coil, coil, and it's kind of pulling you towards the beast as much as it's pulling towards you. So your rope's going to be stuck in that thing for a while unless you like really put some work into trying to pull it out. But then you think, oh, pebbles. You reach down into your coin purse that you put together a bunch of the material plane pebbles, and you bring out a few of the material planes and you hold them out, and you see this kind of this proboscis almost, like of this. It's like an elephant's trunk kind of quicksand. It reaches out and it starts to just investigate your hand and picks up a bunch of the pebbles within itself, and you can see them kind of moving up themselves like peristalsis. There's this bulging kind of motion as the pebbles kind of move up within itself, and you can kind of watch them go towards its body. That's not all of your pebbles, but it's like 4 or 5 of them. And then it kind of pulls back a little bit, and it looks around almost with its tentacle-like protrusion, getting Anteater vibes. Yeah, kind of. We call out, explain, we're not hostile. We're not here to hurt anybody. As soon as you start speaking, it kind of brings that proboscis kind of thing forwards towards your face, as if it's like going towards your mouth, and you're like, no. You kind of try and swat it aside, but every time you do, your hand kind of sticks to it. You pull your hand away, and you're just trying to avoid it instead. After a good few minutes of this thing, you realize, yes, it's curious. This thing is curious. It has no idea what you are. You are such a weird phenomenon to it that it's never seen anything like you. You're making sounds with your face, and well, not that it even knows what a face is. You are a curiosity to it. It is not hostile. Thankfully for you, I rolled on the table of hostile native encounter, hostile non-native encounter, or non-hostile encounter, and you thankfully got a non-hostile encounter. Then I rolled on that table, and that could have been still like non-natives. You could have met some other dwarves and stuff, but no, you rolled a quasi-elemental. And then I rolled on the quasi-elemental table, lots of supplemental tables, and I got quicksand elemental. So you have encountered a quicksand elemental. It's got vibrations coming from this top part of whatever this thing is. Bob the quicksand blob. Sandy! Well, it's not a sand elemental. That would be a different thing entirely. It's like a grey, sloppy kind of a sand. Call out in a non-threatening tone, but loud enough to hopefully hear. Seed! I found one! Stamping on the ground. Seed is going to start making his way back to you, but he is up to a mile away. God knows which direction he was. Knock on the stone, see if you reproduce that. You knock on the stone with your hand, and I'm going to see, actually. Maybe it does. It does not. It doesn't seem to understand what you are doing. But it now sort of like slops itself down a little bit. You can see its form sort of shifts outwards, and then it just kind of moves around you. You see that your feet are starting to stick to it again, and you kind of keep having to. You're playing keep away with it. You're playing keep away with it a little bit because of its curiosity in you. It keeps wanting to get up close and sort of investigate what you are and like touch you and stuff. But you're able to. It's not like hostile towards you, so you are able to keep away from it long enough to not get stuck to it. For a good 10 minutes, I'm going to say. So I'm going to give you 1 hit point back. For a good 10 minutes, you are staying away from it until Seed returns. You see this, you can feel with your tremor sense before it arrives, the bulging of rock beneath your feet, sort of diagonally off to your side. And keeping an eye on where that direction is coming from, you see this bulging of the rock as this badger-like elemental comes out. Take the rope again? Yes, yeah. As it sort of shifted its form, it's kind of leaving the rope behind. It seems like it's not interested in the rope. It's had some curiosity in it, but as long as while it had it in its body and it was able to investigate it internally, it's determined that it's not a living creature, it's just some weird material. And so it's dropped the rope behind. You kind of keep away around this little small cavern until you can pick up your rope and ask it to coil. You put your magic rope away. Seed is now in the rope with you, and you say, "Oh, Seed, can you talk to this thing?" and Seed starts, and then immediately, as soon as it does, you see this thing. Not that it has a face, but it reacts. It sort of hardens, almost like there's a reaction where you can, is it electricity through a? There's something that's vaguely coming to mind that's like when you set an electric current through a non-Newtonian fluid, and it kind of hardens up. It kind of does this. It's sort of this custard-like consistency that Seed comes into the cave, and it suddenly starts to like harden up a little bit more. You send a current through, like it's had a current sent through it. And then it seems to react and then move and shift, and you can hear them basically talking. But the way that this one is talking is that it seems like it's got stones within itself somewhere that it's kind of absorbed through its quicksand amorphous moving, and it's grinding them together like we do with vocal cords. But it's got these kind of like a gizzard stones, like a bird's stones in its gizzard. It's grinding them together, and it's doing so in a way that's creating this language that Seed can speak when he's an elemental. So they have this like conversation back and forth until Seed eventually, after about 5 minutes more, drops out of the elemental form and says, "Seed has told this that we are not enemies, that we are not here to hurt, just here for help. It seems not know what we are." Seed, tell him what we are. Okay. You told it we're not hostile? Yes, we're not enemies. Does it have a name? It does. Its name is Seed not know how to say its name. Obviously, it would have been in Terran, the language of Earth Elementals. Can you tell it we're looking for minerals, that we need this in particular? And you take out your your cauldron stone. Say, we're looking for this. And Seed says, yeah, Seed can tell. Now, how long have you been here, and how long can Seed do his wild shape for? Seed at this level he can hold it for 5 hours. So yeah, Seed's good for another few hours still. So Seed shifts back into his earth elemental form, and he tells it, and he kind of gets his badger claw and points at this rock, and then this long proboscis-y kind of tentacle, this elephant trunk-like pseudopod reaches out from the quicksand elemental and just touches the end of it and just sucks it within it, and you're like, I kind of need that. But it sucks it within it, and you can see that peristalsis as it kind of pushes it all the way up and into its body. And then it just kind of ejects out the top and just falls, tumbles down onto the stone beside it. Seems like it's analysed it or looked at it and been like, I know what this is. And then you can see it kind of just slop down into a thing, and then kind of just shift along the ground, as if the ground itself is just kind of moving. And like if you're on a beach and the wind is pushing and you see the sand rippling, kind of looks like that rippling sand as it's pushing in that direction. And Seed and starts to gesture with his head. You can tell that he's saying, yep, it's in this direction. You walk past and you pick up the thing and pocket it again, so you've still got your cauldron piece. And now you have a guide that is going to lead you to where you can find more of this this cauldron-like material. Unfortunately, I'm out of time, so that is where we're going to leave it for today, with a guide leading you through the elemental plane. Congratulations on finding a non-hostile encounter before finding a hostile one. I was wondering whether we would have to have a fight today or not, and I had a very small Tailspire map prepared in case we did, but thankfully we didn't have to. So I will leave it there for today, and I will see you guys next time. Hopefully you join me in my world building sessions as well, between sessions. I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Holy cow, that's a lot of people. We just hit 10,000 subscribers. You guys are amazing. Which means that we're now on our way to 20,000 subscribers. So, make sure you subscribe. Thank you!